Runaway is our first short trek and kicks off in that most exciting of areas, the cargo bay, and at the end of a shift change no less. Short treks are apparently for things too intense for the regular series. However, when the lights go out, that's when the unspeakable things emerge, and sure enough, something is activating one of the controls to make its escape. Sounds like a velociraptor. Well, they are pretty clever. I wouldn't rule it out. Elsewhere, Tilly is explaining about the command training program to her mother. However, her mom is not terribly impressed by it, despite the fact that Tilly is the youngest person ever to be admitted into the program. She's one of those mothers that are just never happy. You know how it is. The reason Alexander the Great wept because there were no more worlds to conquer was because he knew when he got home his mom was just going to call him a quitter for stopping now. Instead of seeing the command program as a chance for Tilly to rise to new challenges, all she can think about are all the other times that Tilly ran from defeat. Kind of makes you wish that Mother's Day came more than once a year just so you could forget it more often. Even the food synthesizer is giving Tilly crap about her over-caffeinated beverage.
Ill-advised. That amount of caffeine is not...
It's my best friend, so shush.
Have a glorious day.
That's the look you give a computer that says, "I'll be back later with a very large magnet." Well, her caffeine holiday is interrupted by the invisible velociraptor and dropping orange goo. We'd seen the creature cut itself when it exited the container, so it can be wounded if it comes down to it, but let's hope it doesn't come to that.
Pickles, Claire's, spaghetti sauce, gelato, ice cream, cheeseburger, Caesar salad.
It's lucky her mom can't see this, or Tilly would get another lecture about her weight. The creature finally shuts down its cloak of invisibility, and we see it's not an it, but rather a humanoid. A rather feral-looking humanoid, admittedly, but Tilly knows Starfleet's primary mission isn't to kick the ass of something that they don't understand. So she grabs a tricorder. That way she can understand it and kick its ass if she needs to. The alien is a Zahian, a newly warp-capable species. And she's a teen, which explains why there's a horrible mess in here right now. After pacifying the Sahian with some ice cream, Tilly gets the universal translator going to translate into Velociraptor, at which point our visitor's comments make clear that she's a self-important teenager, although in many cases that's redundant. She has a long name, so for short she's just called Poe, allowing Tilly to get down to the crux of the issue. Sneaking aboard a starship's a major no-no, so Tilly is required to report this. But Poe's mother, father, and older brother are all dead, so Tilly decides to cover for her for the moment.
Did you know that Zahians are the only species that were born at the same time as our planet?
Yeah, that doesn't seem very likely. Must be a religious thing. God is good at expediting matters. What's remarkable about her planet, despite being the twin of their race, is the more mundane physical aspect, the fact that it has a lot of dilithium, something that is in high demand. Just like Poe, in fact. There's like a red flag bells and whistles warning out there all across space to find and capture her alive, which makes Tilly's already rough position even worse. The only thing left is to learn that Starfleet's sentence for leaving food all over the mess hall is life imprisonment with hard labor. Poe explains her mother had encouraged her to excel and so built something that recrystallizes dilithium, which to translate from nerd speak is a big deal. Tilly knows the implications of it and understands that Poe is worried that her planet might be exploited because of her creation, which is why she has kept it to herself. If anybody asks, all Poe ever tells them is, nevermore. Tilly explains that what Poe has made is part of the next stage of her planet's evolution, and gets Poe to realize that if she cares about her planet as much as she says, then the best place for her to be is back home. Which is good because it turns out her parents were royalty. So with the death of her brother, it means that she is about to become the queen of this incredibly important planet. So that's a good friend to have. So she's sent on her way and Tilly gets herself a special dilithium crystal to remind herself of all of this. It's always great to get souvenirs without being overcharged. Tilly was one of the strongest characters to emerge in Season 1 of Discovery. She's enthusiastic, relatable, and endearing. This episode both sheds more light on her past and showed how she needs to grow for the future. We can now more clearly see how strained her relationship is with her mother and how it informs her behavior. Tilly has big dreams, to be a Starfleet captain, yet she clearly seems at war with her own uncertainties. She's unsure of how to appropriately interact with people. She consumes things high in sugar and caffeine, the kind of thing that people do as a coping mechanism. We can see that her mother provides the feedback circuit for all of this. Anytime Tilly wants to move ahead, her mother is there telling her to be careful not to fall back down again and fail. Failure is a warning not to repeat mistakes, but the biggest failure of all is to let it deter you from ever trying anything. In this situation, we see where Tilly's personality really shone through, and it was dealing with someone younger and less mature than herself. She could handle it because she had been where Poe was, understood the pressures that Poe was under. This consequently allowed her to know how to cope with her behavior, reason with her, deal with her, even play authority figure with her when it was needed. It wasn't until she learned Poe was a queen that she started to revert back to the Tilly that we'd seen more often, cowed back into place by authority. We discover here that Tilly's self-doubt is her own worst enemy, and we see where that comes from. Without it, she's a very capable officer with a promising future. Because of its nature, Runaway is really the only one of the 4 short treks from this time that could, under other circumstances, merely serve as a B-plot for some episode. But placing it by itself allows Tilly to be a focal point, rather than being momentarily pulled into the foreground in an episode that would otherwise be about Michael Burnham. This does, in fact, show the benefits of the short trek method, and yet it also suggests that Discovery would be better if it were to dial down its insistence on focusing on Michael over everyone else, to allow the other characters a chance to hold on to the spotlight more and show the audience that there is more to Discovery than what its first season suggested.